What if I told you that every fortune, every empire, every breakthrough that has ever transformed human civilization began not with money, not with connections, not with luck, but with something far more powerful that you already possess? What if the very faculty that allows you to envision your future success is the same force that built the Wright brothers' first airplane, that conceived the telephone in Alexander Graham Bell's mind, that transformed Henry Ford's vision of affordable transportation into the assembly line that revolutionized industry? The secret to unlimited wealth creation lies not in your bank account, not in your education, not in your circumstances, but in the untapped power of your imagination. While others chase money, you must learn to chase ideas. While others compete for existing opportunities, you must create new ones. While others see problems, you must see possibilities. Tonight I reveal to you the two forms of imagination that separate the wealthy from the wanting, the prosperous from the poor, the visionaries from the victims of circumstance. Master these, and you will never again be dependent on external conditions for your success. You will become the architect of your own fortune, the creator of your own opportunities, the master of your own destiny. Listen carefully, because what I am about to share with you will shatter every limiting belief you have ever held about money and success. There are two distinct forms of imagination that drive all human achievement, and understanding the difference between them will determine whether you live in abundance or scarcity for the rest of your life. The first is what I call synthetic imagination. This is the faculty through which you take existing ideas, concepts, and experiences and combine them in new ways. It is the workshop of the mind where old materials are fashioned into new patterns. When you see a problem and immediately think of a solution based on something you have learned or experienced before, you are using synthetic imagination. It is practical, immediate, and accessible to anyone willing to engage their mind. The second is creative imagination. This is the faculty through which you receive hunches, inspiration, and ideas that seem to come from beyond your conscious mind. It is the direct connection between your finite mind and infinite intelligence. When you have a flash of insight that seems to come from nowhere, when you suddenly see a possibility that no one else has considered, when you feel compelled to act on an idea that defies conventional wisdom, you are experiencing creative imagination. Here is what the masses do not understand. Synthetic imagination is your starting point, but creative imagination is your destination. Most people never move beyond synthetic imagination because they believe success comes from copying what others have done. They study the wealthy, they read their biographies, they attempt to duplicate their strategies. But copying creates competition, not fortune. True wealth comes from creating something that has never existed before. Consider this scenario. A young entrepreneur notices that people are struggling to connect with others in their community. Using synthetic imagination, he might create another social networking platform similar to existing ones. Using creative imagination, he might envision an entirely new way for humans to communicate that transcends current limitations. The first approach creates another competitor in a crowded market. The second approach creates a new market entirely. You must understand that every great fortune began with an idea that others thought impossible. When Ray Kroc envisioned McDonald's, he was not thinking about making better hamburgers. He was imagining a system that could deliver consistent quality and service anywhere in the world. When Walt Disney conceived Disneyland, he was not thinking about building another amusement park. He was imagining a place where adults could experience the wonder of childhood again. Your synthetic imagination is your foundation. Use it to solve immediate problems, to improve existing systems, to create incremental value. But never stop there. Your creative imagination is your rocket fuel. It will lift you beyond the realm of competition into the stratosphere of innovation where fortunes are made and legacies are born. The wealthy understand this distinction. They use synthetic imagination to handle daily challenges and creative imagination to envision breakthrough opportunities. They know that while synthetic imagination can improve their position, only creative imagination can revolutionize their entire game. Now that you understand the two forms of imagination, you must learn how to activate them deliberately. Imagination without direction is mere fantasy. Imagination with purpose becomes the blueprint for wealth creation. Your mind is not a storage unit for random thoughts. It is a creative workshop where raw materials are transformed into finished products. But like any workshop, it requires the right conditions to produce exceptional results. You must learn to create the environment where your imagination can flourish and produce ideas that translate into financial abundance. First, you must feed your imagination with quality input. Your mind can only work with the materials you provide. If you consume mediocre ideas, you will produce mediocre results. If you expose yourself to extraordinary concepts, you will generate extraordinary possibilities. Read biographies of great achievers, study successful business models, immerse yourself in industries you know nothing about. The more diverse your input, the more unique your output will be. Second, you must create space for your imagination to work. Your best ideas will not come while you are busy, distracted, or stressed. They will come during moments of quiet reflection, during walks in nature, during meditation, during that twilight period between waking and sleeping. Schedule time for solitude. Defend it as vigorously as you would defend your most important business meeting. Third, you must learn to capture and develop your ideas immediately. Inspiration is fleeting. The moment you have an idea, write it down. Do not trust your memory. Do not wait until later. The universe rewards those who act on inspiration, not those who postpone it. Keep a notebook with you at all times. When an idea strikes, record it immediately and begin exploring its possibilities. Consider the story of Sarah Blakely, who revolutionized the undergarment industry with Spanx. She was not a fashion designer, not a business executive, not someone with connections in the industry. She was a young woman who had an idea while getting dressed for a party. She imagined a product that did not exist, researched how to make it, and turned that single idea into a billion-dollar business. Her imagination created wealth from nothing but pure possibility. Here is what you must understand: your imagination is not separate from your financial success. It is the engine that drives it. Every dollar you will ever earn will first be created in your mind. Every opportunity you will ever recognize will first be envisioned in your imagination. Every problem you will ever solve will first be addressed in your mental workshop. But imagination alone is not enough. You must learn to translate your visions into concrete plans. This is where most people fail. They have wonderful ideas, but they never bridge the gap between imagination and implementation. They dream without doing, envision without executing, plan without performing. The wealthy understand that imagination must be coupled with action. They know that an idea without execution is merely a wish. They use their imagination to see possibilities. Then they use their intelligence to create strategies. Then they use their will to execute those strategies relentlessly. The greatest enemy of wealth creation is not poverty, not lack of education, not absence of opportunity. It is conventional thinking. The moment you accept the limitations that others place on what is possible, you sentence yourself to a life of mediocrity. Most people think within the boundaries of what already exists. They see a problem and immediately think of existing solutions. They want to start a business and immediately think of copying successful models. They want to invest and immediately think of traditional approaches. This is why most people achieve ordinary results. Extraordinary wealth comes from thinking beyond the boundaries of what currently exists. It comes from imagining solutions that have never been tried, opportunities that have never been explored, value that has never been created. It comes from having the courage to trust your imagination even when others cannot see what you see. You must understand that every revolutionary breakthrough was once considered impossible by conventional thinkers. The airplane was impossible until the Wright brothers made it possible. The telephone was impossible until Alexander Graham Bell made it possible. The automobile was impossible until Henry Ford made it possible. The personal computer was impossible until Steve Jobs made it possible. What makes these individuals different is not their intelligence, not their education, not their circumstances. It is their willingness to imagine beyond the limitations of conventional thinking. They refused to accept that current reality represented the limits of what was possible. Consider this hypothetical scenario. You are employed at a company that has a significant inefficiency in one of its processes. Conventional thinking would suggest that you point out the problem to your supervisor and hope someone else fixes it. Unconventional thinking would suggest that you use your imagination to envision a better way, develop a solution, and present it as an opportunity to create value. One approach keeps you dependent on others for recognition and advancement. The other approach positions you as a problem solver and value creator. But breaking free from conventional thinking requires more than just having different ideas. It requires the mental toughness to pursue those ideas despite opposition, criticism, and doubt. When you think differently, you will be challenged by those who think conventionally. They will tell you your ideas are unrealistic, impractical, impossible. They will try to pull you back into the comfort zone of conventional thinking. This is where emotional detachment becomes crucial. You must detach yourself from the need for others to understand or approve of your vision. You must be willing to be misunderstood, criticized, even ridiculed, if that is the price of pursuing your breakthrough ideas. The wealthy understand that conventional thinkers will never recognize unconventional opportunities until after they have been proven successful. You must also develop independence from external validation. If you need others to confirm that your ideas are good before you pursue them, you will never pursue truly innovative ideas. Innovation, by definition, means doing something that has never been done before. There is no external validation for the unprecedented. The wealthy develop an internal compass that guides them toward opportunities that others cannot see. They trust their imagination more than they trust popular opinion. They trust their vision more than they trust conventional wisdom. They trust their intuition more than they trust statistical analysis. Understanding the power of imagination is not enough. You must learn to apply it strategically to create systematic wealth-building results. This requires a disciplined approach to how you use your mental faculties. First, you must learn to use your imagination to identify opportunities before they become obvious to others. The wealthy do not wait for opportunities to appear. They create them by envisioning needs that are not yet being met, problems that are not yet being solved, value that is not yet being delivered. Start by studying trends in technology, demographics, regulation, and culture. Use your imagination to extrapolate where these trends are heading. What needs will emerge as these trends develop? What problems will arise? What solutions will be required? Position yourself to meet these future needs before they become apparent to your competition. Second, you must learn to use your imagination to create multiple income streams. The wealthy do not depend on a single source of income because they understand that security comes from diversity, not singularity. Use your imagination to envision different ways you can create value for different markets. Think beyond your current skills and circumstances. If you are an accountant, do not limit yourself to traditional accounting services. Imagine how you could use your financial expertise to create educational products, consulting services, software solutions, or investment opportunities. If you are a teacher, do not limit yourself to classroom instruction. Imagine how you could use your educational expertise to create online courses, coaching programs, educational technology, or curriculum development services. Third, you must learn to use your imagination to scale your impact. The wealthy understand that time is their most limited resource. They cannot become wealthy by trading time for money indefinitely. They must create systems that generate income without requiring their constant presence. Use your imagination to envision how you could systematize, automate, or delegate the value you create. How could you package your expertise into products that sell while you sleep? How could you create processes that others could execute under your direction? How could you build assets that generate passive income? Consider the example of a fitness trainer who realizes that he can only work with a limited number of clients in person. Using his imagination, he might envision creating online fitness programs, developing fitness equipment, writing fitness books, or franchising his training methods. Each of these applications allows him to scale his impact and income beyond the limitations of his personal time. Fourth, you must learn to use your imagination to solve problems that others consider unsolvable. The biggest opportunities often exist in areas where others have given up. When you hear someone say, "That is just the way it is," you should hear, "Here is an opportunity for innovation." Use your imagination to envision solutions that others have not considered. What assumptions are people making about why a problem cannot be solved? What would happen if those assumptions were false? What would a solution look like if you ignored current limitations and focused only on desired outcomes? The wealthy understand that every problem is a potential fortune waiting to be unlocked. The bigger the problem, the bigger the potential reward for solving it. While others complain about problems, the wealthy use their imagination to envision solutions and then work backward to figure out how to implement them. As you begin to apply the principles of imaginative wealth creation, you will encounter resistance. This resistance will come from two sources: external resistance from others who cannot see your vision, and internal resistance from your own conditioned thinking patterns. External resistance is relatively easy to handle because it is obvious and predictable. People will tell you your ideas will not work, your goals are unrealistic, your plans are too ambitious. They will try to convince you to be more practical, more conservative, more conventional. This resistance comes from their own limitations, not from the limitations of your possibilities. The key to handling external resistance is strategic silence. Do not try to convince others of your vision. Do not seek validation for your ideas. Do not argue with skeptics. Simply pursue your goals with quiet determination while others debate their feasibility. Internal resistance is more dangerous because it is subtle and often unconscious. It manifests as procrastination, self-doubt, analysis paralysis, and perfectionism. It convinces you that you need more information, more preparation, more resources before you can begin. It tells you that your ideas are not good enough, that you are not qualified enough, that the timing is not right. This internal resistance comes from years of conditioning that has taught you to fear failure, to avoid risk, to seek security over opportunity. It is the voice of your comfort zone trying to keep you safe from the dangers of growth and change. To overcome internal resistance, you must understand that it is not based on reality. It is based on conditioned responses that were designed to protect you from physical danger in a primitive environment. In the modern world, these responses often protect you from opportunity rather than danger. You must learn to recognize resistance as a sign that you are moving in the right direction. The stronger the resistance, the more important the opportunity. If an idea does not generate any resistance, it is probably not significant enough to change your life. When you feel resistance, do not try to eliminate it. Instead, acknowledge it and proceed anyway. Feel the fear and act despite it. Experience the doubt and persist through it. Recognize the uncertainty and advance into it. The wealthy understand that courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of fear. You must also learn to distinguish between reasonable caution and paralyzing fear. Reasonable caution causes you to plan carefully, research thoroughly, and prepare adequately. Paralyzing fear causes you to postpone indefinitely, overthink compulsively, and avoid action completely. Reasonable caution asks, how can I minimize risk while maximizing opportunity? Paralyzing fear asks, what if something goes wrong? One question leads to action, the other leads to paralysis. The wealthy use their imagination to envision both success and failure, then they plan for both possibilities. They do not ignore risks, but they do not allow risks to prevent them from pursuing opportunities. They understand that the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. Confidence is not a personality trait that some people have and others lack. It is a skill that can be developed through practice and experience. More importantly, it is a choice that you can make regardless of your circumstances. The wealthy understand that confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from taking action despite uncertainty. You cannot become confident by waiting until you feel ready. You become confident by acting before you feel ready and succeeding despite your doubts. Your imagination plays a crucial role in building confidence. When you can clearly envision your success, when you can see yourself achieving your goals, when you can feel the satisfaction of accomplishment, you begin to believe that success is possible. This belief generates the confidence necessary to take action. But you must be careful not to confuse visualization with fantasy. Fantasy is passive dreaming about desired outcomes without any connection to action. Visualization is active mental rehearsal that prepares you for real-world execution. Use your imagination to visualize not just the end result of your success, but the process of achieving it. See yourself taking the necessary steps, overcoming the inevitable obstacles, persisting through the unavoidable challenges. Feel yourself growing stronger, wiser, more capable with each experience. This type of mental rehearsal builds confidence because it prepares your mind for the realities of pursuing ambitious goals. When you encounter difficulties in the real world, you will not be surprised or discouraged because you have already experienced and overcome them in your imagination. You must also learn to draw confidence from your ability to solve problems rather than from your ability to avoid them. Problems are not obstacles to success. They are opportunities to demonstrate your value. The wealthy welcome problems because they know that solving valuable problems is how wealth is created. When you encounter a problem, do not ask, why is this happening to me? Instead, how can I use this situation to create value? The first question makes you a victim of circumstances. The second question makes you a creator of opportunities. Your imagination is your greatest asset in problem solving. It allows you to envision solutions that others cannot see, to identify opportunities that others cannot recognize, to create value that others cannot deliver. The more problems you solve, the more confident you become in your ability to handle whatever challenges arise. Confidence also comes from understanding that failure is not the opposite of success. It is part of the process of success. Every failure teaches you something valuable about what does not work, which brings you closer to discovering what does work. The wealthy do not fear failure because they understand that it is temporary and educational. They fear mediocrity because it is permanent and limiting. They would rather fail while attempting something significant than succeed at something insignificant. Use your imagination to reframe failure as feedback, setbacks as setups, and obstacles as opportunities. When you can see challenges as chances to grow rather than threats to avoid, you develop the mental toughness necessary to persist through any difficulty. Wealth creation is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process that requires continuous innovation, adaptation, and growth. The wealthy understand that what got them to their current level will not get them to the next level. They must constantly evolve their thinking, their strategies, and their capabilities. This requires creating systems that ensure your imagination remains active and productive throughout your wealth-building journey. You cannot rely on sporadic inspiration or occasional insights. You must develop reliable methods for generating, evaluating, and implementing new ideas consistently. First, establish a regular practice of imaginative thinking. Set aside time each day to envision possibilities, explore ideas, and consider opportunities. This is not optional or recreational. It is essential business activity that should be scheduled and protected as rigorously as any other important commitment. During these sessions, ask yourself questions that stimulate creative thinking. What if money were no object? What if time were no constraint? What if failure were impossible? What if I had unlimited resources? What if I could start over with everything I know now? These questions free your imagination from the limitations of current reality and allow you to envision breakthrough possibilities. Second, develop a system for capturing and developing ideas. Most people have good ideas regularly, but they lose them because they do not have a system for recording and developing them. Create a process for documenting ideas immediately, researching their potential, and developing them systematically. Not every idea will be worth pursuing, but every idea is worth capturing. Sometimes a seemingly insignificant idea will connect with another idea to create a significant opportunity. Sometimes an idea that is not viable today will become viable as circumstances change. Third, create a feedback system that allows you to test ideas quickly and inexpensively. The wealthy do not bet everything on untested ideas. They find ways to validate concepts before making major investments. This might involve creating prototypes, conducting surveys, running pilot programs, or testing markets on a small scale. The key is to fail fast and cheap rather than slow and expensive. The sooner you can determine whether an idea has merit, the sooner you can either develop it further or move on to the next opportunity. Fourth, build a network of people who can help you evaluate and implement ideas. No one creates wealth in isolation. You need advisors who can provide objective feedback, partners who can complement your skills, and team members who can execute your vision. But be careful about who you share your ideas with. Not everyone is qualified to evaluate innovative concepts. Some people will discourage you because they cannot see what you see. Others will steal your ideas because they recognize their value. Choose your advisors carefully based on their track record of supporting innovation and their ability to maintain confidentiality. Fifth, stay informed about trends and developments that could create new opportunities or threats. The wealthy are voracious consumers of information, but they are selective about their sources. They focus on information that helps them identify opportunities and avoid risks. Read industry publications, attend conferences, join professional associations, and network with other innovators. But do not become overwhelmed by information. Focus on trends that are relevant to your goals and ignore distractions that do not contribute to your success. Creating wealth is not just about having good ideas or working hard. It is about developing the psychological foundation that supports sustained success. The wealthy think differently than the poor, not just about money, but about life, opportunity, and their own capabilities. Your imagination plays a crucial role in developing this psychological foundation. How you imagine yourself, your possibilities, and your future determines how you behave, what opportunities you recognize, and what results you achieve. Most people imagine themselves as limited by their circumstances, constrained by their resources, and dependent on external factors for their success. This creates a psychology of scarcity that manifests as fear, doubt, and hesitation. When you believe you are limited, you act in limited ways and achieve limited results. The wealthy imagine themselves as unlimited in their potential. resourceful in their capabilities, and responsible for their own success. This creates a psychology of abundance that manifests as confidence, creativity, and decisiveness. When you believe you are unlimited, you act in unlimited ways and achieve unlimited results. But changing your psychology requires more than just positive thinking. It requires systematically replacing limiting beliefs with empowering beliefs through consistent mental practice. Start by identifying the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. These might include beliefs about money, success, your own capabilities, or what is possible for someone with your background. Common limiting beliefs include, money is the root of all evil, rich people are greedy, I am not smart enough, I do not have the right connections, success requires luck, I am too old, I am too young, I do not have enough experience, I do not have enough education. Once you identify these beliefs, use your imagination to create evidence for more empowering beliefs. For example, if you believe that money is evil, imagine all the good that you could do with wealth. If you believe that you are not smart enough, imagine all the successful people who started with less education than you have. If you believe that success requires luck, imagine all the successful people who created their own opportunities. The key is to make these new beliefs feel real and compelling. Your imagination has the power to create emotional experiences that are as powerful as real experiences. When you can feel the reality of your new beliefs, they will begin to influence your behavior automatically. You must also learn to use your imagination to maintain motivation during difficult periods. Wealth creation is not a smooth process. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and periods of doubt. During these times, your imagination becomes your lifeline to success. When you feel discouraged, use your imagination to reconnect with your vision of success. See yourself achieving your goals, feel the satisfaction of accomplishment, experience the freedom that wealth will provide. This is not escape from reality. It is preparation for reality. When you feel overwhelmed, use your imagination to break your goals into manageable steps. See yourself taking one step at a time, making steady progress, building momentum gradually. This reduces anxiety and increases your sense of control. When you feel isolated, use your imagination to connect with others who share your vision. See yourself surrounded by supportive people who believe in your success. This is not fantasy. It is preparation for the relationships you will need to build as you grow. Having great ideas is not enough. You must learn to transform ideas into income systematically and consistently. This requires understanding the process of value creation and the mechanics of monetization. Value creation is the process of solving problems, meeting needs, or fulfilling desires for others. Income is the reward you receive for creating value. The more value you create, the more income you can generate. The more people you create value for, the more income you can generate. The more efficiently you create value, the more income you can generate. Your imagination is the key to identifying opportunities to create value. While others see problems as inconveniences to be avoided, you must learn to see problems as opportunities to be pursued. Every problem represents a potential source of income for someone who can solve it. Start by identifying problems that you are uniquely qualified to solve. What knowledge do you have that others lack? What skills do you have that others need? What experiences have you had that others could benefit from? What insights do you have that others would value? Do not make the mistake of thinking that you need to have unique expertise to create value. Sometimes the most valuable solutions come from applying common knowledge in uncommon ways or combining existing solutions in new combinations. Consider the example of Howard Schultz, who created Starbucks by combining the Italian espresso bar concept with American consumer preferences. He did not invent coffee, espresso, or retail. He used his imagination to envision how these existing elements could be combined to create a new type of value. Once you identify a problem you can solve, use your imagination to envision the ideal solution. Do not limit yourself to what currently exists or what you currently know how to do. Focus on what would provide the most value to the people who have the problem. What would the perfect solution look like? How would it work? What would it cost? How would it be delivered? What would make it better than existing alternatives? What would make it unique and memorable? After you envision the ideal solution, work backward to figure out how to create it. What resources would you need? What skills would you need to develop? What partnerships would you need to form? What steps would you need to take? This process of working backward from your vision to your current reality is crucial for transforming ideas into income. It forces you to think practically about implementation While maintaining focus on your ultimate goal, you must also learn to validate your ideas before investing significant time and resources in developing them. The fact that you think an idea is valuable does not mean that others will agree. You need to test your assumptions with potential customers before you build your solution. This validation process might involve surveys, interviews, focus groups, or pilot programs. The key is to get feedback from people who actually have the problem you want to solve and who would actually pay for a solution. Do not be discouraged if your first idea does not generate enthusiasm. Use the feedback to refine your concept, identify different problems to solve, or find different ways to create value. The wealthy understand that innovation is an iterative process that requires multiple attempts and constant refinement. True wealth is not created through single successful ventures. It is built through systematic innovation that generates multiple income streams and creates compounding returns over time. This requires developing the ability to innovate consistently and reliably. Systematic innovation means creating a repeatable process for identifying opportunities, developing solutions, and implementing them successfully. It means building capabilities that allow you to create value in multiple markets and adapt to changing conditions. The wealthy understand that innovation is not a matter of luck or inspiration. It is a disciplined process that can be learned and applied systematically. They develop methods for generating ideas, evaluating opportunities, and executing strategies that work regardless of market conditions or economic circumstances. Your imagination is the engine of systematic innovation. It allows you to see patterns that others miss, connections that others ignore, and possibilities that others cannot envision. But raw imagination must be channeled through structured processes to produce consistent results. Start by developing a systematic approach to opportunity identification. This might involve regular analysis of industry trends, demographic shifts, technological developments, and regulatory changes. What new needs are emerging? What existing problems are becoming more pressing? What solutions are becoming obsolete? Use your imagination to extrapolate from current trends to future opportunities. If more people are working from home, what new products or services will they need? If the population is aging, what new healthcare solutions will be required? If technology is advancing, what new applications will become possible? Next, develop a systematic approach to solution development. This involves understanding the process of innovation from initial concept to market implementation. What are the stages of development? What resources are required at each stage? What are the common obstacles and how can they be overcome? Create templates and checklists that guide you through the innovation process consistently. This might include frameworks for market research, product development, testing, and launch. The goal is to reduce the time and risk involved in bringing new ideas to market. You must also develop systematic approaches to resource acquisition and team building. Innovation requires capabilities that you may not currently possess. You need to know how to identify what you need, find people who can provide it, and structure relationships that benefit everyone involved. This might involve finding mentors who can provide guidance, partners who can complement your skills, investors who can provide capital, and team members who can execute your vision. The wealthy understand that success is a team sport and they become skilled at building and leading teams. Finally, develop systematic approaches to scaling and replication. Once you create a successful innovation, you want to extract maximum value from it. This might involve expanding to new markets, developing related products, licensing your solution to others, or creating systems that allow others to deliver your solution. The key is to think beyond the immediate success of any single innovation to the long-term potential for building a portfolio of successful ventures. Each success should provide resources, knowledge, and capabilities that make the next innovation easier and more likely to succeed. Wealth creation requires more than good ideas and hard work. It requires the mental discipline to maintain focus, overcome obstacles, and persist through difficulties that would discourage most people. This discipline is not innate. It is developed through practice and reinforced through experience. The wealthy understand that their minds are their most valuable assets. They invest in developing mental capabilities just as seriously as they invest in developing financial assets. They understand that mental discipline is what separates successful people from unsuccessful people in any field. Your imagination plays a crucial role in developing mental discipline. It allows you to envision the rewards of persistence, the costs of quitting, and the satisfaction of overcoming challenges. It helps you maintain motivation when external circumstances are discouraging. mental discipline begins with clarity of purpose. You must be absolutely clear about what you want to achieve and why you want to achieve it. Vague goals produce vague results. Specific goals produce specific results. Compelling goals produce extraordinary results. Use your imagination to create a vivid, detailed picture of your desired future. What will your life look like when you achieve your wealth goals? How will you feel? What will you be able to do? What problems will you be able to solve? What contributions will you be able to make? Make this vision so compelling that it pulls you forward through any temporary difficulties. When you have a clear vision of where you are going, you can tolerate almost any discomfort in getting there. Mental discipline also requires the ability to delay gratification. Most people want immediate results with minimal effort. The wealthy understand that significant results require sustained effort over extended periods. They are willing to sacrifice short-term pleasures for long-term benefits. Use your imagination to connect your daily actions to your long-term goals. When you are tempted to take shortcuts, envision the long-term consequences. When you are tempted to give up, envision the rewards of persistence. When you are tempted to procrastinate, envision the cost of delay. You must also develop the discipline to maintain focus despite distractions. The modern world is full of distractions that can derail your progress if you allow them. Social media, entertainment, news, and other people's opinions can consume your attention and dilute your effectiveness. Create boundaries that protect your focus. This might involve scheduling specific times for checking email, limiting social media use, avoiding negative news, and spending time with people who support your goals rather than people who distract from them. Mental discipline also requires the ability to learn from failure without being discouraged by it. Every successful person has experienced multiple failures on their path to success. The difference is that successful people use failure as feedback to improve their strategies rather than as evidence that they should quit. When you encounter setbacks, use your imagination to envision how you will overcome them. See yourself learning from the experience, developing new capabilities, and becoming stronger as a result. This mental rehearsal prepares you to handle failure constructively rather than destructively. Finally, mental discipline requires the ability to maintain confidence despite criticism and doubt from others. When you pursue ambitious goals, you will encounter people who do not believe in your vision. Some will be well-meaning but limited in their thinking. Others will be threatened by your success and actively try to discourage you. Use your imagination to maintain connection to your vision, regardless of external opinions. Remember that every great achievement was once considered impossible by conventional thinkers. Your ability to envision what others cannot see is your greatest advantage, not your greatest weakness. Knowledge without action is worthless. Everything I have shared with you tonight means nothing unless you apply it systematically and consistently. The wealthy do not just know what to do. They do what they know, and they do it with unwavering determination. Your journey to wealth through imagination begins now, in this moment, with a decision to act on what you have learned. You cannot wait for perfect conditions, complete knowledge, or ideal circumstances. You must begin with what you have, where you are, with the resources currently available to you. Here is your unshakable action plan for transforming your imagination into wealth first. Within the next 24 hours, you will identify one problem that you are uniquely qualified to solve. This should be a problem that affects people you understand, in an industry you know, or in an area where you have expertise. Do not try to solve problems for everyone. Focus on problems for people you can reach and serve effectively. Second, within the next week, you will use your imagination to envision the ideal solution to this problem. Spend time in quiet reflection, away from distractions, and allow your mind to explore possibilities. Do not limit yourself to what currently exists or what you currently know how to do. Focus on what would provide the most value to the people who have the problem. Third, within the next month, you will create a detailed plan for developing and implementing this solution. This plan should include specific steps, timelines, resource requirements, and success metrics. Break your vision down into manageable tasks that you can execute systematically. Fourth, within the next 90 days, you will take the first concrete steps toward implementing your plan. This might involve conducting market research, developing a prototype, building a team, or raising capital. The key is to move from planning to action, from thinking to doing, from imagining to creating. Fifth, you will establish a daily practice of imaginative thinking. Set aside at least 30 minutes each day to envision possibilities, explore ideas, and consider opportunities. This is not optional recreational activity. This is essential business development that will determine your long-term success. 6, you will create a system for capturing and developing ideas immediately. Keep a notebook with you at all times. When an idea strikes, record it immediately and begin exploring its potential. Most people lose their best ideas because they do not have a system for preserving them. You will not make this mistake. 7th, you will build a network of people who can help you evaluate and implement your ideas. Seek out mentors who have achieved what you want to achieve. Find partners who complement your skills. Recruit team members who can execute your vision. Success is a team sport, and you must assemble a winning team. 8th, you will commit to taking action despite fear, doubt, and uncertainty. You will not wait until you feel ready, because you will never feel completely ready. You will not wait for perfect conditions, because perfect conditions do not exist. You will act on your best judgment with the information available and adjust your course as you learn. 9th, you will persist through setbacks, failures, and disappointments. You will use these experiences as feedback to improve your strategies rather than as evidence that you should quit. You will remember that every successful person has failed multiple times on their path to success. 10th, you will maintain your vision despite criticism and doubt from others. You will not allow other people's limitations to become your limitations. You will not allow other people's fears to become your fears. You will trust your imagination more than you trust popular opinion. But understand this, having a plan is not enough. Knowing what to do is not enough. You must execute your plan with the intensity of someone whose life depends on it, because it does. Your financial future, your family's security, your personal fulfillment, and your legacy all depend on your willingness to transform your imagination into reality. The wealthy do not just work hard. They work with focused intensity on the right activities. They understand that success is not about the number of hours you work. It is about the value you create during those hours. They concentrate their efforts on high-impact activities that produce disproportionate results. You must develop the same intensity of focus. Identify the activities that will have the greatest impact on your success and concentrate your efforts on those activities. Eliminate or delegate everything else. Your time is your most valuable resource, and you must invest it wisely. You must also develop the mental toughness to persist when others would quit. Wealth creation is not a sprint. It is a marathon that requires sustained effort over extended periods. There will be times when you want to give up, when the obstacles seem insurmountable, when the rewards seem too distant. During these times, you must remember why you started. You must reconnect with your vision of success. You must use your imagination to see beyond current difficulties to future possibilities. You must draw strength from your commitment to create a better life for yourself and those you care about. Remember that every great fortune was built by someone who faced the same challenges you face. They experienced the same doubts, the same fears, the same obstacles. The difference is that they persisted when others quit. They maintained their vision when others lost faith. They continued to act when others gave up. You have the same capabilities they had. You have the same access to information they had. You have the same opportunities they had. The only difference is your willingness to use your imagination to create wealth and your determination to persist until you succeed. The moment of truth is not tomorrow. It is not next week. It is not when conditions are perfect or when you feel completely ready. The moment of truth is now. Right now, in this moment, you must decide whether you will continue to live a life of limitation or whether you will use your imagination to create unlimited possibilities. Every moment you delay is a moment of potential wealth that you lose forever. Every day you procrastinate is a day that your competition gets ahead of you. Every week you hesitate is a week that opportunities pass you by. Every month you wait is a month that you could have been building your fortune. The wealthy understand that timing is not about finding the perfect moment. It is about making any moment perfect through decisive action. They do not wait for opportunities to come to them. They create opportunities through their imagination and their willingness to act. You have been given the tools. You have been shown the path. You have been provided with the blueprint. Now you must decide whether you will use these gifts to transform your life or whether you will let them remain unused potential. The choice is yours, but the consequences are not optional. If you choose to act on what you have learned, you will begin a journey that will transform not just your financial situation, but your entire life. You will discover capabilities you did not know you had. You will achieve results you did not think were possible. You will become the person you were meant to be. If you choose not to act, you will remain where you are. Your circumstances will not change. Your income will not increase. Your opportunities will not expand. You will look back on this moment with regret, wondering what might have been if you had found the courage to begin. But I know you will choose action. I know you will choose growth. I know you will choose wealth. Because you would not have listened to these words if you were not ready to change your life. You would not have invested your time in learning these principles if you were not committed to applying them. The seed of wealth has been planted in your imagination. Now you must water it with action, nurture it with persistence, and protect it with determination. The harvest will be greater than you can currently imagine, but only if you begin the work of cultivation today. Your imagination is the most powerful wealth-creating tool you possess. It is more valuable than money, more important than connections, more useful than education. It is the source of all innovation, all opportunity, all progress. It is the bridge between your current reality and your unlimited potential. Use it wisely, use it boldly, use it now. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make in this moment. Your family is counting on your courage to act. Your dreams are counting on your determination to persist. The time for thinking is over. The time for planning is over. The time for hesitation is over. The time for action is now. Go forth and create the wealth that your imagination has shown you is possible. Go forth and become the person you have envisioned yourself becoming. Go forth and build the life you have dared to dream. The universe is waiting for your contribution. The world is waiting for your innovation. Your destiny is waiting for your decision. Make it now, act now, begin now. Your journey to unlimited wealth through the power of imagination starts with your very next step. Take it.